Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to get started with Google SketchUp. So go ahead and open up a web browser and just go ahead and type in My SketchUp and you'll come right here to the very first link. So you're going to need to create an account. For my students, I suggest you just sign in with your Google account. Once you do that, you'll then go ahead and come to a screen that looks something like this, which is basically your home dashboard screen. Right here I only have one test file, and you can manage all of your projects with these three little dots here, where you can open and get back to working with them. You can also delete them, so I'll just show you how to delete that. Okay, so this is what most of you are going to see. You can take the tour, and that's kind of nice because it kind of shows you everything. I'll cover the basics in this video as well. You can click on Start Modeling, or you can click on Create New, and they give you some starters for here. For my video game production class, I would suggest that you start off with feet and inches, since that's what we're doing. We're going to click on Start Modeling and take a look. So first things first, you are in a 3D view, so to navigate, it is a good idea if you do have a 3-button mouse, so a mouse with a scroll wheel. If you don't, you can still do everything on a trackpad, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So you can zoom in and out by using the scroll wheel, and there I am scrolling forwards and backwards. You can hold down the mouse wheel and you can orbit your view in 3D. Again, this is very similar to Blender. It's identical to Blender. And if you hold down the Shift key on your keyboard and hold down your mouse wheel, you can pan left, right, up, and down. Okay, so if you're in my video game production class and you've never done SketchUp before, SketchUp is mostly used by architects, engineers, people that do carpentry, woodworking, and it's a really cool way, an easy way to do 3D. It is easier than Blender, I think. You're not going to really model 3D characters. It's mostly for buildings, and you can do some basic vehicles and things like that, other objects. It's meant for architectural things though. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to click on this person here. If you're wondering why this random person is here, it's just to give you an idea of scale, so you can start modeling around her and have an idea of how big you want things to be. I'm going to select her and then press delete on the keyboard, and now she's gone. All right, so we have our three axes here. X is red, Y is green, and blue is Z, just like in Blender 3D. Okay, so let's look at the toolbars. Up here in the top, you'll see this is where we can name our project and we can save, things like that. Over here on the left-hand side are all of the creation or drawing tools. They also allow us to move around in 3D, just in case you don't have a 3-button mouse. And then over here on the right, we've got a whole bunch of extra goodies and things like that that we can use to find out more information about what we've created here. So let's just jump in. It's the first video, why not? Okay, so over here on the left, you do see that we have a, you can search and you can go ahead and find things. So if you're really lost, you've got a search feature. You have a selection arrow right here if you want to click on a certain part of your object. But let's go ahead and start off with the most common tool, and that is the line tool. If you click on it, you'll see that there's a little triangle here, and if you click and hold, you'll see it will expand, and you basically have two tools. You've got the line tool, which looks like a pencil, and then you've got the freehand tool. Just do the line tool for now. Okay, so when coming out here and drawing, I'm just going to go ahead and start like this, and I'm going to click once with the left mouse button, and I can then drag my mouse. I'm not holding down any button, and I can just go ahead and drag, and you'll see that I get a black line. Now if you move the mouse around, you will see that every once in a while it will snap to one of the three axes, X, Y, and Z. Now you have to trust SketchUp that when it snaps to a certain axis, you have to trust that you are actually drawing in that axis. So right now I'm drawing in the red X-axis, and it looks correct. The green one, which is the Y-axis, that one looks off, but I'm going to trust SketchUp and say that's it. And I'm just going to go ahead and left mouse click again, and there I've done it. Now it looks really messed up from my view, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue it. Okay. Now if I move my mouse to the right, you'll see that it says that I'm drawing in the x-axis. And again, I'm going to trust SketchUp there. I'm going to left mouse click again. I'm going to then come back down because I want to make a plane, and I'm looking for that green y-axis. Now, if you're wondering, can you orbit while you are drawing? And the answer is yes, you can. So I'm going to hold down my mouse wheel and orbit, and things are starting to look better. And when I orbit, now I should be able to find, there we go. So there's the green y-axis, and I can zoom out. And the cool thing about SketchUp is that right when I get to that point, you'll see that it draws a little dashed line, and it says you are straight across from that first point that you drew. So what I can do is I can just left mouse click again, and then if I want to finish the face, I can just go over here and click again and make sure that it actually snaps to that endpoint. And if you do it correctly, you'll see that I have a really nice rectangle here. And again, I can hold down the shift key and I can pan, I can zoom in, I can orbit around. But the point is notice that I looked for the axis color, green, red, blue, and I trusted SketchUp, and that's how I drew. And you can see it looked like it was a mistake, but that was only a 3D illusion. Okay, so now I can add on to this, which is nice. So if I put my mouse pointer right on the edge here, you'll notice it snaps and it says on edge. So if I want to click, and let's say I'm drawing a building for my video game, again, try to always draw in one of the three axes. So there's the red x-axis. Now again, I'm going to look for the green axis, and I know it looks really messed up there, so I'm going to orbit around, and I'm going to look for that green y-axis. There we go. Left mouse click, go back on the red, and go all the way until it snaps. And there we go. And you can see that I have those two there. All right, I'm going to draw one more face coming off this just to make it a little bit more interesting. So again, I'm looking for the green axis, red axis, and then back on the green axis until I hit. And there we go. Okay, so we've got, this could be a building floor plan. So now I want to show you my absolute favorite tool, and that is called the push-pull tool. This is what made me fall in love with SketchUp in the first place. So I've got my pencil tool or my line tool, and then down here, this is it right here, it's called the push-pull tool. And you'll notice that it has a couple other tools underneath. They're a little bit more advanced, but I want this one here called push-pull tool. And what you do is when you mouse over a face, you'll see it gets highlighted. You simply left mouse click once, and then move your mouse forward, and look at that. That is so cool. And you can make it as tall as you want. I can then, of course, do that with this one, make it a different height, and I can, of course, do that with this one as well. Now you'll notice from the get-go, you'll notice that I have a couple of things that might be problems. One, why is this building or this volume here blue? And then two, let's say you wanted this to look a little cleaner. You'll see that we have these lines here, and maybe you don't like that. Okay, so to fix the blue part, the blue is showing you that these faces are basically flipped inside. We basically want all of our faces to be white. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to come back here and click on the selection tool, and you can click right on a face, and it becomes highlighted. If you hold down the shift key, you can actually, just like in Blender, you can select multiple faces. Okay, so once you have those faces selected, you can then right mouse click, and then you can choose reverse faces, and you'll see that they are all now flipped. To deselect, you can just click in an open spot. Okay, so now you orbit around and you see, whoops, I forgot a face here. Simply select it, right mouse click, reverse faces, and then there you go. And you can notice that down here on the bottom, there's no floor. Watch this. If I go back to the line pencil tool, and I'm just going to go ahead and click on one endpoint, on another endpoint, and it heals it. Really cool. I kind of wish Blender did that as easily. There we go. Okay, so let's say you wanted to get rid of these lines here. Well, that brings in the next best tool, and that is the eraser tool. So you simply come over here and you take the circle and you just left mouse click and it will highlight that little line right there. Click, click. It is actually highlighting in blue, and there we go. And you have a nice, clean looking model. Okay, I only have about 3 or 4 minutes left that I want to do. So now that you have basically a volume here, let's check this out. I'm going to take the same line tool, and let's say I want a doorway or an opening. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to make sure it says I'm drawing on edge. I'm going to click. I'm going to make sure that I'm drawing on one of the 3 axes. So you can see right here it's telling me that I'm on the blue z-axis, but I'm also drawing on the face of this volume, and that's what I want. So I'll click. Again, I'm looking for that green axis, and then I'll go back down, and then I'll make sure that I go down like that, and I've got that there. So there we go. So I can do a couple things now that I have this here. I could take the push-pull tool, and I can actually pull it out and go out like that. I can actually go inward. So it's kind of like the extrude tool in Blender. So I'm gonna push it in. Then I'm going to take the selection arrow tool, and I'm going to click on this face right here and simply press the delete key on the keyboard, and check that out. Super easy, nice. You can see inside, and there we go. All right. Lots of really fun things you can do, but I'm just going to go ahead and stop this for today. I'm going to show you how to save. Excuse me. And we will be making lots more of these SketchUp videos. Now, if I didn't say it before, anything you model in SketchUp can be brought over into Blender and then used in the Blender game engine. So if you enjoy drawing in SketchUp, which I absolutely do, sometimes it's faster to just draw it and model it in SketchUp, then bring it over to Blender and then do the game engine character setup and the code and the camera and all your UV mapping and all that kind of crazy stuff. All right, so I'm going to go ahead now and save this. So I'm going to click right here on Untitled. And there's nothing else in here. So let me close out of that. And actually, I'm going to click on Save. Okay, so it looks like it's giving me the same thing here. So it says Save to Select Project. I'm going to click right here because there's really nothing else. Okay, so now it gives me the chance to actually name this. So I'm just going to go ahead and call this SketchUp Lesson 1. You guys can call it something more exciting, and hit save here. Okay, so now it says it's saving. I don't think it has an autosave, but just be careful. Okay, good. So if I wanted to close out of this, I could just go to those 3 little lines, and you'll see right here I have a nice little thumbnail. I've got my name right here, and then there you go. And I can create a new one. I can, of course, open it. I can click on the little back arrow up here, and I can go back and I can keep modeling around. Okay, I hope this helped you out, and if you're new to SketchUp, I hope you fall in love with SketchUp as much as I have. I will see you in the next video.